people who've seen nice people finally snap, what happened? I had just started high school and there was a new kid. I was from a one primary, one high school town, so all the kids already knew each other. He was a giant Aboriginal kid who was quiet with no friends, so my friend and I befriended him. We always chatted to him and he was so lovely, always softly spoken and generally just so nice. Like holding doors open for us and bashfully smiling when we would go out of our way to be friendly to him. Anyway, he started getting picked on by the bad boy of our grade relentlessly. One day he snapped and beat him up with a garbage can and was expelled and I never saw him again. Damn, getting expelled for taking out the trash? Bully, bullies kid. School. Bullied kid fights back. School, you weren't supposed to do that. Makes me wonder if the school administrators who pull this shit were the bullies in their schools. Our assistant principal was a total douchebag, and every person that went with him to school said he was awful as a kid too. He attended the same high school that he now worked at. He never did anything when kids were bullied, especially if the bully was a basketball player, and the entire study body loathed him except for the basketball team which he coached. They got tons of passes for things others were punished for. I cannot express enough to you how much this guy was disliked by students. The only person he never fucked with was a close friend of mine. If I got in trouble with him, we never got punished. If I got into a fight, my friend would get involved just so the fallout wouldn't be as bad for me. He never mentioned why for the longest time. He finally told me that when they were teenagers his mom dated the assistant principal. After they broke up he kept trying to get with her until her new boyfriend, my friend's dad, beat the living shit out of him. Guess he didn't want to risk catching those hands again. Doesn't matter if they are young or older, bullies don't like people who fight back. I mentioned this in another thread. Samoan friend. Happiest, most friendly guy you ever want to meet. Some guy said something about his sister and of course it made him mad. My friend went after him and caught him. Punched about 3 times and we realized he was going to kill him. It took 3 of us normal-sized guys to hold his arm back from hitting the guy one more time. We told the other to run, like run fucking now. He did. Our friend was mad at us for a while for stopping him, then he went home. The next day it was as if nothing happened. He just went back to being a super nice guy. P.S. I forgot, a couple days later our friend's big brothers, were looking for that same guy that got the crap beat out of him. I don't think they found him but never did see him again. This woman, Mary, I worked with was always pleasant and cheerful, said hello in the lunchroom and was generally liked. She worked in finance and special projects. She said she wanted to retire in a few years and she had been working there for 15 years. Her boss started pressuring her to complete our annual budget report faster, but this thing is huge and comprehensive and a figurative beast. Mary told the boss it would be ready in a couple of weeks, per the usual schedule. The boss said that it needed to be completed within 1 week to give to the higher-ups. Mary said it wasn't possible. Boss emailed Mary plus CC a bunch of co-workers and the assistant managers, calling Mary out for a poor work ethic and for making the department look bad. Mary said it wasn't possible and didn't appreciate being bullied. She put in her notice to retire by the end of the week, leaving her boss high and dry. She was the only one who could do the budget report in a timely manner, so the department was double fucked. Back in 5th grade, I was super lucky to have the elementary school's favorite teacher. Every single student loved her. My class was always super loud and annoying. We were working on some assignment before and everyone was passing her off. She was only allowing students to go out if they finished the assignment. My slow ass was unfortunately one of the last kids in the room. This one student, who was a god-awful and annoying shitbag kid, was being way over the top. My teacher got up, put her hands over her ears and just started screaming, "Shut the fuck up. Just shut up. Shut up. Shut up." And she just stomped out of the room still screaming with her hands covering her ears. All of us just sat there in horror. Couple of kids just left to go to and I sat there just trying to finish the assignment. Our principal came into the room a few minutes later just telling the rest of us to go out to but she made the shitbag kid stay in the room with her. He was moved into the other 5th grade teacher's room after this. She was completely normal and fine after coming back. And there was nothing else that went wrong for the rest of year. Just worked her ass off and made all of us love her by her caring soul and all of that fun stuff. But that moment completely traumatized me. A long time ago, I used to do call center tech support for fairly complex issues. A really nice, quiet guy went through the same training class. He talked if you talked to him, but never went out of his way to chat. Right after training, the call center changes a ton of stuff. We start getting squeezed on the amount of time we can do documentation, how much research time we have, just metrics in general. It was utter bullshit, because the favorites got to go on smoke breaks as often as they wanted with the managers. We'd essentially be punished for that because we had to keep the average numbers in a certain area. He did all the right things. Talked to his manager, talked to their manager, then to HR. It kept getting worse, plus enforced overtime. Then he got a super long call. He was on it at least 2 hours. About a complex issue, and the customer was just straight up abusing him, but he had to take it because the managers wouldn't give permission for him to hang up. And they were basically screaming at him to resolve this issue and get to his next call, but we couldn't end calls, the customer had to. One day he just stood up, stepped onto his chair, then onto his desk, threw his headset on the desk and sort of growled something like "fuck this," quietly. He looked around, staring people in the face, especially the people who took those long breaks and the managers. Then he walked out and no one ever saw him again. Everyone was super quiet and afraid to move or say much of anything. My best friend had lost his mom to murder a few months prior when we were in the 10th grade. Somehow he had pulled himself together just enough to start going back to school. I don't know how he handled it with being an only child and growing up without a father. His mom was all he had. A kid that thought he was popular that got on everyone's nerves cracked wise to my friend's face about his mom's death. What he said isn't exactly sure. My friend threw him on the ground and punched him in the face multiple times. The end result was a broken nose, a broken left orbital, and my friend got kicked out of school. We were very grateful he taught him a lesson, but saddened it had to come at such a high cost. I'm not sure whether they kicked the correct one out, honestly. It's like curing symptoms, but not the cause.